Welcome to today's presentation. Today we're talking about improve enterprise efficiency with ArcGIS and IWMS, which is Integrated Workforce or Workplace Management System. The agenda for today is just basically introductions. We're Robert Stephen Consulting, both a silver partner with Esri and a silver partner with Eptura. Today we're going to talk about why use ArcGIS Indoors to connect with IWMS, and we'll cover that topic. What does it mean to connect to an IWMS system? Like, why would you do this? How do we do it? How do we connect the ArcGIS Indoors to IWMS? What are the key takeaways? And then we're going to invite you to visit our booth in 2112. Well, as you are familiar with many of the ArcGIS maps, this is a zoning map within a city, which basically shows what type of buildings can go in certain areas. So I want to show you that very similarly to this, that inside of a floor plan, oftentimes planners or space planners will track which divisions and departments sit where, such as the light blue could be research and development and the dark blue could be technical support or application support. But it's very, very similar that both a zoning map and an interior department map are very, very similar. Likewise with demographics. So here's the demographics by ethnicity. This is also a occupancy or vacancy map showing which rooms are over capacity or at capacity or are vacant. Very similar in their approaches. One's inside of a building, the other's outside. We also have maps that show things like routing. These are the roads that are developed for trucks to drive on within the San Francisco Bay Area. And here's an ingress egress map during an emergency, how to get out of the building. And so very similar activities inside a building and outside of a building. As far as campus planning goes, oftentimes you need to understand your infrastructure. What buildings do I have? Where are they? What type of surface access do I have? Where are the utilities? What types of support is given to the campus? Very similarly on a floor plan, this is called a rentable usable map. This tells you how much on a floor plan you have usable space, how much of it is service space, how much of it is vertical penetration, and then that gives you an equation of what is the rentable usable ratio. Both these maps are used to help provide strategic decisions as we go forward. Let's talk about ArcGIS Indoors. ArcGIS Indoors is a very powerful application that is now out on the market that has been developed for the last 6-7 years. And it basically has three functions, which is to display and show floor plans, highlight floor plans by department, by people use, by asset tracking. The other thing that it will do is actually help you do strategic planning, such as how many people are occupying a certain space, how occupied is the building, what's my utilization rate, what's the total occupancy within my campus. The third thing is what's called IPS, indoor positioning system, which will also go indoor and outdoor, as it shows this route from a third floor of one building to the first floor of a second building, going through and across a parking lot into those activities. So ArcGIS Indoors then begins to provide the foundation for indoor tracking. As you know, ArcGIS has many, many applications. I'm only showing 10 here, but as you know, there's probably upwards of 60 or 100 different applications that ArcGIS can provide for you as a corporation. Now, those activities, while very useful, oftentimes will miss or not include Indoors. That's why Indoors was introduced. However, many of you are using point solutions, such as an enterprise asset management system to connect with Esri. You may be using the CAFM system, a computerized maintenance management system to connect to Esri, such as Maximo or other types of applications. Building information modeling to give you indoor 3D models and work with contractors and other types of professionals to help you design your areas. You actually may even connect to a CAFM system, a computer-aided facilities management system, which basically looks at floor plans and highlights and spaces like that. And oftentimes we're just basically connecting AutoCAD to ArcGIS. These are all point solutions. RSC can help you with those integrations and has helped you with those integrations. But let me introduce you to what an IWMS system is. So if you think about ArcGIS with everything outdoor, think of an IWMS system as everything indoors. And there may be some areas that you may even not have thought of before. But one of its big claims to fame is just basically understanding space management, which is the medium blue color, space management, strategic planning, hoteling and reservations, and planning your space out in the future. It may also include things in the dark blue, such as real property management, such as your real property portfolio. How many buildings do you own? How many buildings do you lease? What's the square footage? When do your lease amendments come forward? Do I have capital improvement projects going forward? And then the light blue is around asset tracking and sustainability. So what do I have to do to keep my buildings current? Should I offload the buildings? How do I assess them? Am I in compliance? How many assets do I have and where are they? Do I have a work order system that I can go against? This is basically an IWMS system. All right, what does an IWMS system do for ArcGIS? Well, basically, an IWMS system can, in fact, replace all of your point solutions. So if you think about this financially, if you're paying $250,000 a year for each of your point solutions, which actually is kind of low, you could combine them all into one for about that same amount, $250,000 to $300,000 a year. It could go up to $300,000 or $400,000, but basically the concept is instead of paying 5 times $250,000, which is $1.25 million, you could be paying a fraction of that in an IWMS system because it does include many of the point solutions that you're currently connecting to. All right, well, let's talk about what happens if we integrate ArcGIS and IWMS. When you do those connections provide you a comprehensive tracking of all items, assets, and activities you have both indoors and outdoors. We're going to recommend that ArcGIS Indoors is the connection between an IWMS system and Esri. The Indoors product has a lot of great functionality. We'll talk about that just a little bit later. All right, so let's go a little bit more into what an IWMS system is. Again, I went around the circle and showed you that the dark blue is around property management and capital improvements and project management. The medium blue is around space management and planning and hoteling. Again, the light blue is around sustainability, compliance, asset tracking, work order systems. The right-hand side, I've got a little word map of all the activities that could be, that are included in an IWMS system. So as you can see, there's about 100 of them. So let's just dive into what portfolio management is. I'm going to hit what's called a portfolio management dashboard. And this has many activities that are wonderful, found within an IWMS system that can enhance your indoors experience. So just basically, where are your operating costs going to? You know, amortization, operating expenses, non-recoverable expenses, what's your base rents, and depreciation taxes. This can all be found in an IWMS system when you track your buildings this way. Building detail. This is just about 5% of the building detail that's kept. This is basically around where it's located, latitude and longitude, where it is in the United States, what's the book value, when did you bring it on board, what's the total cost of the building, and we have many other applications. So at least what's the base rent, what's your amendments, what's your options. Other activities are how occupied are you in certain geographic areas. So this is your EMEA, Asia Pac, and America occupancy. This also shows things like how old are your buildings? Are your buildings at an age where they may need to be looked at and assessed to determine whether you keep them or whether you move into a newer, more modern building or retrofit? What's the value of your buildings? What's the market value? What's the book value in geographic areas? Again, this is America, Asia Pac, and EMEA. Now I'm showing globally, but this could be broken down to a site or a building or a state or a county, and all that kind of good information. Other information is how many buildings do you own as compared to what you lease. Those are two different decisions because owned buildings you pay taxes on most likely. Leased buildings you're paying a landlord either a net or a triple net or other type of leasing with different amendments and options. So this helps you understand which your buildings are owned and which ones are leased. When is your leases expired? Like how many leases do I need to prepare for? Many times there's clauses that If you don't re-up in 6 months, you're automatically re-upped for 3 more years. Or if you don't re-up in 6 months, we have the right to dislodge you or move you out and bring another person or another client into that space. Other things are what's the square footage of building use. So here we have things like how big is our warehouse? How much office space do we have? Do we have any medical offices? Are there data centers? And it brings it down by percentage. So you begin to understand what your square footage is and your percentage of use throughout the world. We also have some wonderful capital budgeting applications. So this is a view of basically your budget items by year. So you can take a look at your air handling, both expense and your budget across the years. We also have things that will show you things that have mission critical. So for example, this boiler is low on fuel, and it'll give you an alert and shows you on an Esri map where this boiler needs to be maintained. This one is the roof has some challenges, and because of it, we've lost some revenue because we couldn't occupy the building because of the roof. And these all come from the IWMS system. We also have a strong project management application. As you can see here, this is a Gantt chart against a certain project. Now, within the IWMS system, projects aren't necessarily capital improvements. They could be anything like grant writing or studies or any type of other initiative that you need to track time and effort against your budget. Here's an S-curve showing both your baseline and actual cost by month across a portfolio or a project. These are managed change orders, so if you have a contractor that's doing some construction work, you can manage the change orders and actually see how much money additionally was expended on a project you had budgeted. Let's talk about the maintenance management or the CMMS system. Usually the CMMS system carries 2, if not 3 activities. Corrective maintenance, which is basically too hot, too cold, water spilt on the ground, bird flew into the window, doors jammed. Preventive maintenance are things that are scheduled. Those are usually around things like where you have an outside agency that requires review, such as your fire extinguishers, your elevators, your backflow preventers, other things that may cause some oversight from an outside agency. Those are called preventive maintenance. And within the CMMS system, within IWMS system, with this application, this is what's called a maintenance console. And within the maintenance console, we can see all of the work that is either planned, in process, or completed. So right now I'm showing you a view of there's 15 requested, there's 3 approved, and there's 62 that are signed for work. This is interactive, and you can double click these things and get more detail. We also have a labor scheduler, so you can see if you have enough craftspersons to complete the job, if they're overworked, if you need to hire more, if you need to get budget for more. You also have the ability to take your preventive maintenance applications, your scheduled apps, and schedule them out in a way that creates the work in a way that's comfortable for your labor force, and many, many other applications. Now let's talk about asset management. So in the IWMS world around asset management, these are enterprise asset management. This is a life cycle from purchasing to receiving to placing on site and functioning to maintenance to disposition to depreciation. It's all kept in this life cycle application around asset tracking. I'm now showing you a console where I'm showing you a tree of a chemical lab, but we also, if you take a look down 3 or 4, there's also an HVAC, so we can take a look at the air handling unit on the roof all the way through the ducts, the diffusers, and the return air ducts and all that kind of good stuff. And they will be shown over on the right-hand side. We show things like pictures of the equipment, where it actually is on a floor plan. We can actually highlight people that are supposed to be in charge of them, such as the teams or the custodians, or what space or spaces do they manage. Other benefits of an IWMS system are things like financial analysis. So here's a comprehensive total cost of ownership of a building. So we have things like capital and expenses broken down into categories. And as you keep these applications up with the costs, this financial analysis console will show you the total costs. It's real-time data. So if somebody in New York changes something, the person in Los Angeles will see that change in real time. Additionally, there's a workplace management system that allows your staff at large to find people or places, to drop down to a workspace for a hotel space, or to reserve a meeting room, or to ask for a work request. And this is a staff at large responsive design application within most IWMS systems. So these are basically the other benefits. Now, let's talk about how we may want to do this. So I'm showing a little bit of a cartoony application here, but basically we've got a truck and a trailer. And what I'm showing here is it doesn't matter whether Esri is a driver and the IWMS system is a trailer, or whether the IWMS system is a driver and Esri is a trailer. The trailer hitch or connection for us, we're recommending, is ArcGIS Indoors. That those two things can be put together very easily with ArcGIS Indoors. Why? Because an IWMS system categorizes most of your spaces by site, building, floor, and room. ArcGIS uses sites, facilities, levels, and units, and they equal one another. Once those two things are matched together, both worlds are shown to you and your company. And now you have a comprehensive asset tracking system for both indoors and outdoors. So traditionally, there's about 3 ways to go at this. What you've done traditionally is you've done floor plans against ArcGIS. So you take a floor plan in, and you can highlight the floor plans, you can place people, you can place assets, and that's all good. When you get ArcGIS Indoors will allow you to add things like strategic space planning, plan moves, you can plan tenant improvements and changes. You can also do indoor positioning system, or a wayfinding, or what we call blue dot, which allows you to travel from A to B on your phone, showing you the pathway that you can use. If you include an IWMS system, we can then include the CMMS system, a capital budgeting, and project management, and the 90 other activities we showed earlier on the PowerPoint slide. So one of the key things that happens when you bring these two applications together is that you minimize keystrokes. We define ownership, what's in IWMS, what's in GIS, what's in each one of these little activities within those two systems. And it's only typed in once, and you're just referencing the information that comes from either or system. It also reduces software spend, as I talked, as you're bringing in point solutions that are costing you 6 figures a year. If you break those down into 2, you've got a tremendous amount of savings. Third thing is that you've got a single workplace portal that actually streamlines your employees and your IT staff to be able to train on 1 or 2 applications, not 3 or 4 or 8. You also have a comprehensive enterprise reporting system. The IWMS systems are packed full of reports. Many of them come packaged with 500 reports right out of the box. They also have reporting wizards that allow you to create new reports that you may need that are important to you. And then finally, we're on a modern technology stack. One of the things I really love about Esri and about most of the IWMS systems is they stay very, very modern. And so your staff is going to be able to stay with applications that are familiar to them because they are modern. That's what I have for today. And if you want to learn more, please come by our booth on 2112. And appreciate your time. Thank you.